Welcome to the final day. We have spent the last 9 to 10 days learning how to become a screenwriter. And not only that, but giving you a complete screenplay that you can use to go on and make it into a film or use what you've learned to create more scripts going forward. Once again, let's just do one final recap of everything that we have done so far. All of the hard work that you have put in to getting to where you are today. So on day number 1, we started off brainstorming some ideas and then choosing one that you want to work on for this script. We also did a couple of one-line, log-line tests. On day 2, we talked about themes and we started creating the protagonist. On day number 3, we went through story structure and all the different elements that are used to create a film. On day number 4, we went further into character development. We talked about our protagonist, our antagonist, and also the side characters. On day number 5, we use all of these things to create an outline. On day number 6, we learned more about screenplay formatting. On day number 7, we came back and we learned more about dialogue and subtext. On day number 8, we finally used all of these things to write the vomit draft or the first draft of our screenplay. Then on day number 9, we came back into it and we worked on those rewrites and really just tidying up, condensing everything, making everything a bit cleaner and leaner. And today is the final day after all of this hard work, after all these days of working on this screenplay. This is the day where hopefully, if everything went well for you, you now have a mostly finished screenplay. You have something where it is at the point where you could read it and you could pretty much enjoy it because most of those pieces are there. There might just be a couple of things left to do, which you can do today or you can finish off over the next couple of weeks. And it's totally up to you. One important thing to know with screenwriting is that a screenplay is never finished. It is only abandoned. And that just means we could always be working on it. There will always be more that we can do. There will always be more that we can add because it is limitless. It is purely just we could keep just coming up with more and more ideas of what happens in this screenplay. There are so many things we could... What I'm saying is there comes a point where we have to accept the screenplay as it is and move on. We have to put it into production or move on to our next screenplay. So in terms of those finishing touches, there will always be more finishing touches. So at that point, it is up to you to determine when you are going to be finished with this script. What I want to do today is I want to talk to you about what to do now that you have a finished screenplay. Firstly, what I would do if I were you, if you haven't just happened to do this already on the previous days, is get feedback. Now that you have something that you can actually send to people, I want you to send it out. And I want you can send it out to other people who are screenwriters, you can send it out to people who are filmmakers, but you should also send it out to people who have nothing to do with film so that they can read it from the perspective of an audience member rather than a filmmaker or a writer. And if you can send it out to a variety of different people, you'll get a variety of notes back to you. And because it's from so many different perspectives, if there are any notes that are similar to each other, then you know that that is probably something that you can look at. Once you do get feedback, or once you start reaching out to people for feedback, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. If one person comes back to you and says there's something about the story that they didn't like, it doesn't mean that you should go into your film and automatically just start changing it and cutting out the thing that they don't like. Or everyone has different tastes, and no matter what story you write, you could write the most perfect story that ever existed, which isn't possible, but if you did, there would still be people out there that don't like it. And it just comes down to personal taste and preferences and their own understanding of the world, but there will always be people that don't like it. So if one of those people comes back to you and says it's no good, then that's fine. If, let's say, you sent the script out to 10 people, and if 7 of them all say that there's one thing about the script that they don't like, then it's probably worth looking at. Another important thing, and maybe this is just from my own experience, but getting feedback from family members can always be a little bit of an odd one, or even close friends. And they'll just be like, oh, it's lovely, I loved it so much, it's great, you're a wonderful writer, and blah, 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 blah. Someone coming to you and saying, how great your thing is, it can feel nice, but it doesn't help you. If somebody likes your script, or if somebody doesn't like your script, the most important thing is for you to understand why. So if you give your script to someone and they come back to you and all they say is, oh, it was great, I loved it, that doesn't do anything for you. You need to kind of force them or teach them or encourage them to give you some more details. If they did like it, what did they like about it? But more importantly, you want to know what people don't like about it. If somebody does come to you and they say it's great, that's great, accept the compliment, but then just set it aside and see if you can really squeeze out of this person what it is they don't like. Encourage them to force something out of their brain that they don't like about this script. You want to know every single leaking hole in this story so that you can fix it now instead of, as I said, during production or during the edit of the film. So the most important thing you can do is encourage people to give you the negative feedback. And this is something that is going to need some practice because we've just poured our heart and soul into this story. You know, we've invested part of ourselves in them. Like all of these characters that are in the film automatically inherited parts of our own personality or our traits. So a little bit of us is in each of these characters. So if somebody comes over and they say that they don't like this character or they don't like this script or something, it feels like we've been stabbed in the gut. It hurts. It doesn't feel nice. But unfortunately, that is an important skill that we need to learn as screenwriters or as filmmakers or as artists in general. We need to encourage people to give us that painful feedback, fully knowing that it is going to hurt us, letting them know that I'm not going to enjoy hearing it, but it is so important that I hear it. So when you are looking for feedback, be careful and just encourage people to give you real, true, honest feedback. You do have a finished screenplay, and there are a number of things that you can do with it. Firstly, there is submitting it to screenplay competitions or screenplay festivals. There are a few specific sites where you can submit screenplays. There are things like the Blacklist, but that one can cost a bit of money. You pretty much pay for like a year to have the script up there so that other people can read it and provide feedback and then hopefully make it into a film. And a lot of films do get made based on the Blacklist because if you're paying that somewhat large amount of money for a yearly submission, then it's pretty much going to filter it down to the writers that are serious. So the Blacklist is probably a good place to go, but only go there if you do actually have that money available. There are also other options, and I'll put a bunch of links for you so that you can check out some of these places. Probably one of the easiest ones is something like Film Freeway. Film Freeway is great. This is a place where you can submit films to festivals, but it also has options for submitting screenplays to screenplay competitions and festivals. So I'll put a link to that in the description of this video, so feel free to check that out and do a bit of exploring, and there's a few different tick boxes you can tick it if you're just looking for screenplay competitions. You might find some that are free. You might find some of them that provide feedback. I've also submitted to things in the past where they provided feedback, but they also did a table reading. So they actually got a bunch of people together and they read the script, and it was really kind of cool because I got to see the film made or performed before we even thought about actually making it. Once you do have your finished script, there are a few things that you can do with it. So submitting it is one of them, and then there are two more. One of those is to find someone else to produce and make your film. And as I said in an earlier video, if you are just starting out with screenwriting, then this is likely going to be someone else on a similar level who is starting out in filmmaking. This might be a student group, this might just be amateur filmmakers, people who are just getting started, which is exactly why we have written a script that is simple enough and producible. So the way to find some of these filmmakers is just going to be, unfortunately, something that a lot of introverts don't like to hear, which is networking. So it might just be going to events. But if you're someone that doesn't like going to events like me, I'm not a fan of socializing in public. But another way that you can do it is through Facebook groups, for example, or local forums. If you don't want to be present in person, you can at least be present online. And I feel like that makes it a lot easier in a lot of cases. Introducing yourself to people, asking questions in groups, answering questions in groups now that you know all these things from this course. and making yourself useful to somebody else. Getting your screenplay made the first couple times, there's a good chance you won't even really be getting paid for it. You'll just be giving your script out to people so that they can make it, just so that you can start getting a bit of a name for yourself and a bit of a reputation and building up your credits on IMDb as a writer. Now, of course, you could just be writing screenplays because it's fun to do and you want to be a bit creative and you want to create a story. But if you were doing that just to write a story, then you could just learn to write a novel. You could learn to do music. You could learn to do some other kind of thing. But learning how to write screenplays, it's specifically a writing form that is intended to be created into a visual medium. If you are learning to be a screenwriter, you might as well go the whole way and learn about that industry, learn about the other departments, and figure out how to make this film yourself. And if you want to learn more about the other departments of filmmaking, we can absolutely help you with that. And if you have any questions at all, get in touch with me. Get in touch with me. You have my email, and ask me any questions you like, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if there are any other film roles that you are interested in, let me know. The homework for today is just a few simple things. So one of them is getting feedback, sending it out to 10 different people, the widest variety of people that you are able to. And then after that, the other piece of homework is to just explore options. So explore options for the types of festivals or the types of film script competitions that you can submit to. And the next piece of homework is just to explore some of the other filmmaking options, some of the other departments, researching what it is like to be a director, what is involved, what are the responsibilities, what is it like to be a producer, what do they do, how can you use a camera, learn a bit about editing software, so you could go online and grab a bunch of stock footage, bring it into an editing software and just play around and see if you can create some kind of story just using stock footage. These are all extracurriculars, so I just want to say congratulations again, because you have made it till the end of this course, and I personally would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear the things that you have learned, but as I said, I would love to hear any issues that you have with the course. Are any of the videos too long? Are they too short? Are they too confusing? Are they too simple? Should I use music? Should I keep it silent because the music is distracting? Do you want to see other people here with me also providing their expertise on the subject? Do you want any sections of the course expanded? Maybe we can go into dialogue a bit more. Is there enough homework? Is there too much homework? There'll be a bit of a quiz and a survey at the end of this, so if you do have time, it would be absolutely incredible if you could fill that out for me. I love hearing feedback, and I love hearing the things that I could be doing better. If there is anything that I can improve, then I will do that. Since you are in this course, you have access to this course forever, which means that if we do make any changes or any improvements, you will have access to that and you can do it all over again and get an updated version and write another screenplay. You have written a screenplay, and now it should be a lot easier, or hopefully a lot better, in creating your next one. I hope to see you around, and thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.